well, we are not wishing bad experiences for you, but we like you to explore contrast, and we like you to conclude again and again, I can clean up my vibration. We were visiting with a woman one day on the telephone years ago when Esther had time for telephone consultations, and she wasn't having any of what we were about. We were letting her know that she created her own reality, but her own reality was such a mess, those were the last words she wanted to hear. And so we were trying to distract her from the problems that she had been spewing, and we said to her, you know, because we couldn't get her to hear any positive aspects about anything about her life. She was just in a place where nothing was working. And so we said, sometimes it is good to just withdraw from those subjects altogether. And she said, well, how can I ever learn that I create my own reality when my life is going wrong in so many places? And we said, by taking some fresh subject of which you have no negative attachment and focusing upon it for just a little while to activate it in your vibration. She said, what do you mean? And we said, well, just pick some subjects that you're not already worried about, and let's talk about them until they are active, and then the universe will deliver evidence to you that they are active, and it will show you that you do create your own reality, and that pleasant things can come to you if you will just focus a little bit. She couldn't understand what we were saying. She said, you choose some things. So we said, well, let's choose the subject of blue glass. And she said, what? And we said, well, blue glass. And she said, well, why would I want to think about blue glass? And we said, because you don't usually think about blue glass, so it's not one of the things that you've messed up in your life. And so she said, well, what about blue glass? And we said, well, there are a lot of different colors of blue, aren't there? And she said, I suppose. And we said, and there are different densities. Some of them you can see through, some of them are opaque and you cannot, and they're used in all different kinds of things. She said, I guess. And we said, well, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about butterflies. And she said, all right. And we said, they come in all sizes, don't they? And she said, I suppose. And we said, and they are in all different colors, and some of them are very large and beautiful. Some of them you can even see right through. She said, I suppose. And we held her attention for a little while, making an effort to activate something in her vibration. And then we said, well, let's talk about something else. And she said, like what? And we said, like a feather. And she said, all right. And we talked about feathers. We talked about them on birds and off of birds and different sizes and different things. And now she'd had about all of us that she could stand, and she hung up and asked for her money back. And Jerry and Esther were in California. They were in La Jolla, and they went to George's for lunch. And they parked their car, and as they got out of the car, and Jerry had not heard the conversation, and Esther was not thinking about it at all, and they got out of the car, and Esther said, let's go in this shop. And Jerry said, I thought we were going to lunch. And Esther said, we are, but let's go in this shop. And Jerry said, well, I thought we were going to lunch. And Esther said, I really want to go in this shop. And so Esther is just burying herself in this shop, going back, and Jerry is following her, wondering if she has lost her mind. And she gets back to the back wall of this shop, and there was the most incredible display of blue glass that Esther has ever seen. And Esther did not make the association. She just said, this is amazing. And Jerry said, do you want to buy any of it? And Esther said, no, I just think it's beautiful. And then they went on to George's and had a wonderful lunch. And a few minutes later, they left George's and they walked down to the cove. It's the most beautiful place where the land meets the sea. Jerry and Esther loved to go down to these rocks and to this beautiful water. And as they were walking down across the lawn on their way to the cove, a flurry of butterflies surrounded them that was so intense they had to deliberately close their mouth to keep from eating them. And Esther still is not making any association with the conversation that we've had, and they are moving through the butterflies, and as the butterflies begin to clear, a little boy who looked to be about 4 years old, a little oriental boy, came running across the lawn to Esther. It was as if he knew her, and Esther's squinting to see why he is coming to her, and he has something in his hand, and as he comes to her, he hands her a feather that he has picked up off the lawn. And in that moment, goosebumps moved through Esther as she realized that there had been an activation of these subjects. We'd stayed upon them long enough, and they had remained active enough in Esther's vibration that within less than 2 hours of the activation, the universe had managed to bring them fully, in full manifestational format, to her.